Today's lesson is on rotations in the coordinate plane, and it will cover pages 164 to 167. The first set of questions will ask you to rotate a triangle by a given number. So you start by rotating the dark line and then the rest of the triangle. So when they ask us to rotate 90 degrees, we know that that's a quarter turn, and clockwise is going to fall down to the right from the top. It'll follow the same direction as the clock. So for us to take this and move a quarter turn, it would come here. Then, once we have moved the dark line, we can move the triangle. So you notice that the triangle comes out of the bottom side and comes this way. So it has to be like we are rotating it around there. It has to still face the same direction. So it would be wrong if you had it sticking out the other side, because if you were to spin it, that's not how it would look. So remember, our questions are, if it's 90 degrees, that's going to be a quarter turn. 180 degrees will be half a turn, and 270 degrees will be 3/4. And then clockwise will fall down to the right like a clock, and counterclockwise is going to go backwards on the circle to the left. So those are the two things to keep in mind. Question 2 has a variety of parts. So A says which sides and angles in triangle OAB, and so A and B are the images of it, so that's this triangle here, are equal to the sides and angles in OAB, the original. So OB is the line that starts at O and ends at B. So this line would be equal to this line, so you need to label that OB image, okay? AB, what's the matching one? This is like a hypotenuse, so here's a hypotenuse, so what would you label it? What's at the beginning, what's at the end? Then we have the angle ABO. So that angle will follow alphabetically, so it says ABO, so that means this is the angle here at B. The vertex is always the middle one, ABO. So this angle is the same as this one, so how would you label it? And then what can you say about triangle OAB and triangle OA image, B image? So are they congruent? Are they exactly the same size? Are they similar? Do they have similar proportions, but they're not exactly the same size? What can you say about angle AOB and A image OB image? So once again, we'll trace this AOB, so that's this angle here. What can you say about it compared to this angle here? What is the degree measure of BOB image? So BOB image, what kind of angle does this make here in the corner? And it would be the same as, doesn't matter which direction. So how many degrees is that? You shouldn't need a protractor to figure it out, but if you want to use one, that's fine. What is the degree measure of AOA image? So if we go AOA image, they might not have the same markers to guide you, but it's probably quite similar to the angle we had for the other one. And so which transformation has taken place? Well, you might notice they've both changed 90 degrees, right? So we've got a rotation of 90 degrees, and this is the original and this is the image, so it's falling down. So is that clockwise or counterclockwise? Question 3 is setting up an example where Lena wants to rotate the point P, which is at 2, 3, so here's that point, 90 degrees clockwise around the origin. So this is the origin, so that's what she's rotating it around. It's like this is where it's stuck. which quadrant is P in? So if you remember, what are the names of the quadrants? 1, 2, 3, 4. So which one is P in? Which quadrant will image P be in? So if you were to rotate it 90 degrees clockwise, what quadrant would it be in? Lena shades a right triangle with hypotenuse OP. So remember, origin to P is going to be her straight line, and this will be the hypotenuse, and she'll just drop it straight down so that she can get a right angle, because the hypotenuse is always the opposite to the right angle. Rotate her triangle 90 degrees clockwise around the image. So I'm going to do this one for you because the next one will be quite similar to it. If this line goes to, if we were to rotate it 90 degrees, we're trying to make a right angle, it would come here, right? Now I'll use a different color for the next line. If this one sticks 3 out from that corner, well, this is the matching corner and it needs to stick out 3, right? And so then we've got our hypotenuse that's going to connect them. So this would be our triangle here. And we need to label this P image. This will be the point at the end here. The triangle before rotation has a horizontal length of 2, and a vertical length of 3. So going up and down. The image triangle has a horizontal length of, so you might notice that it's changed. So how long is this horizontal length? And a vertical length of, so what's our vertical length now? Because it will have changed. So that's what you'll put in these two blanks. And this one is just giving you what are the coordinates of P image. So what is the X value? What is the Y value? Question 4 asks you to plot the point Q, -8, -2 on the coordinate grid. So you need to find -8, -2, and you will plot that point. Use Leonard's method to rotate 90 degrees clockwise around the origin and label the image Q image. So remember, Lena made her own triangle and then she used that to rotate it around. So you're going to follow those same steps. So Q is in which quadrant? So which quadrant is Q image in? The triangle before rotation has a horizontal length of 8, so that's its length going left and right, and a vertical length, so that's going to be like the height going up and down. The image triangle, so the new triangle that you create, has a horizontal side length of what? And a vertical up and down length of what? And then find the coordinates for Q image. Part B asks you to use Lena's method to rotate a triangle with the vertex -8, -2, 90 degrees counterclockwise around the origin, and label that image Q asterisk. And what do you observe? So you'll start at the same place, but then we're going to rotate it counterclockwise instead of clockwise, and see what you notice. Question 5 is actually going to require you to look at your information for question 4. It asks you to compare the horizontal and vertical lengths of the image triangles. So you've already, for Q image, found the horizontal length and the vertical length. So now that you've found the Q with an asterisk, you'll have to see what is the horizontal length and what is the vertical length, and are they equal? So are the points Q apostrophe and Q asterisk the same? So the triangles might be the same, but are the points the same? And feel free to look, once you've found your answer, go ahead and mark it in the answer key so that you know whether you're on the right track. And if their answer makes sense, great. If it doesn't, you might need to ask me for a Zoom call so that we can go over it together. Question 6 will ask you to rotate each point around the origin as given using Lena's method and write the coordinates of the image. So I'll do the first one with you. So our first one is P3 and 2. So x3, y2 is going to be here. So Lena always makes a triangle. So I'm going to connect O and P, and then I'm going to draw a line down to the x-axis here. Now I need to rotate it 90 degrees clockwise. So I know that I'm going a quarter turn to the right. So that means that this line here, and so I can color code it if that makes it easier, needs to go 90 degrees. So that's going to be on the other axis now, and it's going to be the same length. So it's going to be 3. Then out of that, it's going to come 2. So we're going to let it stick out 2. And then I can connect up the origin with this point that is going to be P image. So I know that my new coordinates are x, 2, and y, -3. Okay? And so if you were to take a protractor or the edge of your ruler, we should get a 90-degree angle here. Okay? So you'll do the same thing for each of these. So check how much are you rotating and in which direction. Okay? Question 7. So when you get to 270 degrees, you're actually moving like 3 different places, or you could do 90 degrees the opposite direction, whatever you find easier. Maybe I'll do the baseline with you for this one. So if we have -3 and -2, that's going to start here. And you can choose where you want it to connect it to. I often still connect them to the x-axis. And so I need my baseline here to rotate 3/4 of a turn clockwise. So here's my line. Clockwise means I'm going to keep following the clock around. So here's a quarter turn, half a turn, a whole turn. So I'll have it sticking out here. And then my other factor here that's going to come out needs to make like an L. So it's going to stick out on this side and I can connect them. So this is where my Q image point would be, and then you would need to label that. Question number 7 asks which rotation would take point P image, so here's P image in question 6a, to point P asterisk from question 6b. So when you have eventually found these coordinates, you're going to see what's the rotation. Does it have to go here, here, or here? And then you're just saying which is it 90 degrees? Is it 180? Is it 270? And is it clockwise or counterclockwise? Now, naturally, there's going to be 2 right answers. So as long as you have one of them, that's fine. Question 8 asks you to rotate each point P around the origin as given using Lena's method. So we're starting at -3 and -2. We're rotating 180 degrees clockwise. So what are our new coordinates? P is in quadrant, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Which quadrant is it in? Which quadrant is your new P image in? The triangle before rotation has a horizontal length of this, so horizontal side to side, vertical length, up and down. The image triangle has a horizontal length of what and a vertical length of what. So this is all you're doing for question 8 is rotating it when you rotate at 180 degrees and then filling in the information here. Question 9 asks you to rotate P 180 degrees clockwise around the origin. So here's P. We're going clockwise 180 degrees. So you will plot your point and then write the coordinates x, then y. Then it asks you to rotate P image, so that's going to be your new one, 270 degrees clockwise. So 1, 2, 3. around the origin, we're going to label this as P asterisk, plot the points. Now it says point P asterisk can be obtained by rotating point P 180 plus 270 minus 360 degrees, which equals how many degrees around the origin. So literally, for filling in this, you're just adding 180 plus 270 equals this, minus 360 equals this. Now explain where each number in this equation comes from. So we followed these steps. So where does the 180 come from? Where does the 270 come from? And why do we subtract a whole circle from it? Okay, so you need to be able to try and articulate that. Question 10 is going to ask you to rotate 3 points, P, Q, and R around the origin and label them. And we will have to find the coordinates for each of them. So I'm going to do the first one with you. So if we look at P, P is at 1 and 3. So that's what we will write in, 1 and 3. Q is 4 and 3. And R is -2 and 1. So then, I'll maybe change this to blue so you can see it easier. 1, 3, 4, 3, -2, and 1. So now we need to take each point and rotate it 90 degrees. So if I start with P, it's making, this is kind of the edges of the triangle, right? So I need to rotate that. So instead of, I'm going 90 degrees counterclockwise, which means I need to move a quarter turn, but I'm going around and to the left. So instead of this coming here, it's going to go up there, and then I'm going to come across 3. And this will be my new point for P image. So it is at -3 and 1. Then I could look at Q. So Q, I go over 4 and up 3. So now I'm going to have to flip that a little bit. Instead of going over 4, I'm going to go up 4 and over 3. So this will be my new point for Q image. So that will be -3 and +4. And then R, I would go over 2 and up 1. So instead of going over, now I'll go down 2 and over 1. So this will be R image, which is -1 and -2. So you will do the same thing for each of the other questions. What is it originally? And then rotate it however much it says to get there. Question 11 is our last question, but it takes up an entire page, and it's asking you to rotate these shapes. So I'll start with the first one and then let you do the rest of them on your own. So we're rotating the vertices. So we've got our A is at -4 and -1. And so it's kind of coming like this. So 90 degrees clockwise is a quarter turn following the clock. So the clock is actually, from here, going to keep going up to the top all the way around. So I'm going to move this up this way. So because it was over 4 and down 1, now it's going to be up 4 and over 1, right? So that's where I will plot a image. So that's going to be -1 and 4. Then I'll look at B. Oh, it just kind of crosses 2, so that's a little bit easy. Over 2, down 2 means I'm going to go up 2, over 2. So here is B image. and that is going to become -2 and +2. It initially was -2 and -2. C is -2, -3, and so it's over 2 down 3. So I'm just going to kind of shift and imagine I'm moving this L, so now it's up 2 over 3. So it will just be right here, and that's going to put it at -3, +2. D is over 3 down 3, so we're going to go up 3 over 3. I know my B's kind of in the way there. This is D image. So we had -3, -3, and now we'll have -3, +3. And we can connect the dots. So this is our rotation 90 degrees clockwise. So when it's crossing over multiple lines here, we might have to adjust a little bit. I'm not filling in any of the points, but I will help you figure out how to switch these. So if A is here and we're going 90 degrees clockwise, so this was an over 2 up 3, so this is going to be an up 2 over 3. So this will be our new A. B is up 3 over 2, so we're going to go trace our axis 3 and then over 2. So trace the axis 3 and bring it over 2. And this is our B image. C, we trace the axis 1 over 3, trace the axis 1 over 3. So we'll plot that there. And then D, trace the axis 1 over 1, trace the axis 1 over 1. So that will be D image, and then you can connect them. So they can take up more than one quadrant, but it would still be here if you twisted your paper that direction. These are fairly tricky lessons, so if you're finding them challenging and would like some help, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask for a Zoom meeting so that we can go over them.